Welcome, you're watching Vox News, your daily news updates with Rita Kamkumo. Our headlines today: the East African Court of Justice this week will rule on President Yoweri Museveni's eligibility in Uganda's 2021 presidential election. President Cyril Ramaphosa calls for national action to boost employment after over 2 million jobs were lost in South Africa. Ethiopian Airlines CEO explains how the national carrier managed to remain afloat during the coronavirus pandemic. Our top story today: the East African Court of Justice this week will rule on President Yoweri Museveni's eligibility in Uganda's 2021 presidential election. The regional court will be deciding on the case presented by Ugandan lawyer Male Mabirizi, who is challenging the decision of the Supreme Court to uphold the amendment of the Constitution to remove the age limit for presidential candidates. The 2017 amendment cancelled the requirement that candidates vying for the presidency be under 75 years old. It allowed 76-year-old Museveni, in power since 1986, to run for another 5-year term in the January 2021 general elections. The court is expected to give its verdict by Thursday. In Tanzania, the Electoral Commission on Tuesday announced that more than 80,000 voting stations have been set across the country ahead of next month's presidential election. The vice chairman of the Electoral Commission, Baruch Salim, said that each of the polling centers would accommodate at most 500 voters. He added that arrangements have been made to assist voters with special needs, including people with disabilities. Reports by the electoral body indicate that about 29 million Tanzanians have registered to vote in the presidential and parliamentary elections set to start on the 28th of October. In South Africa, President Cyril Ramaphosa on Tuesday urged all nationals to work hard to help boost employment after the National Statistics Body reported a record job loss. According to Statistics South Africa, the nation's economy lost over 2 million jobs in the second quarter of 2020, the highest the country has ever recorded since 2008. The country's employment rate declined as fewer people searched for jobs during the national lockdown. Ramaphosa stressed that the government is finalizing a program for a return to growth and a rebound in employment. He added that lost jobs during the pandemic will be replaced and that jobs will be created to address the labor market crisis. Meanwhile, in South Africa, Eskom is tearing down illegal electricity points. The state-owned power producer on Tuesday sent technicians to remove the illegal electricity connections in the township of Diepsloot outside Johannesburg.
If we are not going to adequately deal with the informal operation and informal or illegal activities, we're going to burden our networks even further. And hence we are here today to say we will continuously do our best to remove the illegal connections. We know that it's not a sustainable solution.
Poor residents who have no electricity had installed illegal lightning rods to be able to see at night.
We have a problem here at our shacks. We live in a dark place and criminals take advantage and break into our properties. We tried to install electricity so that we could see at night. Children and women are being raped at night. Why does the government not pity us? We are of age and unable to do anything, and they take our pension money. When we call the police from Diepsloot, they take their time to respond.
The problem in this area because we don't have a light and this place is not safe. You can see there is the people who came into our house during the night when we were sleeping, robbing us. See? So if there is we got the electric, there is something happening because there's nothing hidden.
Why they remove these connections? Because what they must do, they must just come here and put exactly that they want. Because now they're busy taking these poles out and the cables, you see. So that's our problems. We need electricity. It's been years we're living here.
Some Diepsloot residents have turned to solar power as Eskom cut illegal connections in the area. President Cyril Ramaphosa on Monday vowed to diversify as well as expand his country's electricity generation by an additional 11,000 megawatts to boost economic growth and reduce carbon emissions. African airlines are struggling to cope with the disastrous economic impact of the coronavirus pandemic. This is the case with South African Airways, which on Tuesday was forced to immediately suspend its operations due to lack of funding. The national carrier was reported to have entered local bankruptcy protection in December last year after a series of financial losses. Things, however, got worse in March after the government announced a ban on traveling to prevent the spread of COVID-19. Despite the lifting of the ban on international travel as of the 1st of October, South African Airways administrators have said that they are putting the airline under maintenance until funding for a restructuring plan can be found. Just like South African Airways, Air Namibia is struggling to survive the coronavirus pandemic. The airline on Tuesday announced that it will reduce its employees' salary by 50% as it prepares to resume flights after a 6-month suspension. Employees who have not been working since lockdown began in March would have to take a salary cut as of September 2020. Even before the pandemic, Air Namibia's finances were ailing and it failed to generate profits over the past 5 years. The government said the airline, which has 10 aircraft and about 800 employees, needs over $400 million to stay airborne. Unlike South African Airways and Air Namibia, Ethiopian Airlines has managed to stay afloat during the coronavirus pandemic by developing its air freight business. The state-owned airline CEO Tewolde Gebremariam last week spoke about the strategy the company adopted in these difficult times.
We were very quick, very fast, flexible and agile to move our forces, resources and everything to cargo. The demand may not increase as such in a very big percentage, but on the other hand, the supply is still depressed because all the jumbo airplanes flying for passenger aircraft, which used to carry barely cargo, are no more in service right now.
As the global airline industry attempts to recover from the coronavirus pandemic, Tewolde is looking to deepen ties with other African carriers, especially ailing South African Airways.
The pandemic has caught us, or has caught African airlines in different stages. Some African airlines were doing very well when the pandemic came. Other African airlines were not doing well even before the pandemic. So you can imagine the impact. So some of us will survive. Some of us may not survive. Some of us may need state aid if it is available. Some of us may need to restructure, maybe shrink. We have been aiming to reverse this market share, meaning African airlines should get at least, indigenous African airlines should get at least 50% of the market share. Right now they only have 20%. We told them that we can give management expertise, technical expertise, fleet, and we can work on a commercial collaboration to restart South African Airways together.
So far, Ethiopian Airlines has avoided seeking a bailout, laying off any full-time employees are requesting deferrals on debt payments, according to its CEO. Africa's largest carrier even reported a profit of $44 million for the first half of the year. The African Export-Import Bank on Tuesday launched a $100 million overdraft facility for African states to facilitate online procurement of COVID-19 supplies. The Pan-African institution commits to enabling its member states to procure coronavirus-related medical resources through the Africa Medical Supplies Platform. The funding aims to bridge short-term funding gaps that African states may be experiencing. Professor Benedict Orama, president of Afrexim Bank, said the objective is to ensure that African governments are able to rapidly access diagnostic kits and medical supplies at competitive prices from African suppliers and global markets. In Tunisia, a recent murder revived the debate on the death penalty. President Kais Saied on Tuesday backed capital punishment after public outrage over a 29-year-old woman's murder sparked calls for executions to restart after a 3-decade-long break.
The debate goes on concerning this issue. However, anyone who kills a person without any reason deserves the death penalty. We will give him all the conditions of self-defense, but if it is proved that he has killed one or more people, I don't think the solution is, like some consider, that the death penalty should not be imposed. Every society has its choices. We have our choices and principles, and the article exists.
Tunisia carried out its last hanging in 1991. However, despite a moratorium on carrying out capital punishment, death by hanging remains on the country's statute books. That's it for today. Thank you for watching Vox News.